I'm Dean Huppert, and this is a Coach's Show with head coach Keith Kinder, presented by Southwestern Michigan College, getting ready for the Plymouth Rockies. You're hoping not to hear that too much because that means a first down when you're talking about Plymouth.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that we're going there. It's been a couple of years with the way that the NLC schedule rotated. We haven't been there since 2020, and that was during COVID and limited attendance and stuff like that. So I can remember being at some games when I worked for the Elkhart Truth, and the environment was really neat. So they're 2-2. They're playing pretty well, and so it should be a fun night.
They really have an incredible tradition. You go back to the 70s with Pete Buchanan and some of the great teams that they had that they were winning in the playoffs. They're trying to bring that back, and a win over Mishawaka would be huge for that community.
Yeah, I think the year before we joined the NLC, they won the conference, in 2019. So they have a history of success in our conference. Coach Barron did tremendous things when he was there, and Coach Hanley is starting to build something, and they're significantly improved on offense from a year ago. And defensively, with the way that they're going to defend us, they're going to take away some gaps with the way they play their defensive line. So it's going to be a challenge for us.
Yeah, before we talk to the keys to success there, let's go back to last week. Goshen, we had a great atmosphere. You joked after the game about 4 passes. This is a team that's very versatile. Mishawaka is playing very well right now. You have to like that and trying to get to the next level.
Yeah, I think, Brady has thrown the ball really well. He's taken care of the ball when we've thrown it. I think we've protected well. We've been fortunate to have some really open guys and then, some guys that make some really good plays on the ball. But we've got 4 or 5 guys that I feel like will catch it if it's thrown in their area, which is something we don't typically have. And so, the added threat of our ability to throw the ball, I think, is only going to help us as the season goes on. But still the bread and butter is going to be, can we run the football consistently and shorten the clock and keep the clock running?
Defense, special teams really didn't give up the big play and not making that big mistake that can put you in a bad position.
Yeah, I've been really pleased with our special teams up to this point. We spent a lot of time on it in the off season trying to figure out how to get better. We've spent a lot of time in practice trying to get better at those things, coverage units, return units, just the kicking game in general. So that's been a big plus for us. And then, like you said, our defense is kind of limited big plays. We gave up 1 big play against Penn in week 2. But for the most part, we've made the offenses earn it, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah, keys to success for this week, just going to Plymouth, getting ready for a big game on the road. And as we saw last week with Northridge and Northwood, you can't take anything for granted in the NLC.
No, you can't. And I think the biggest key for us is just to get off to a good start again. We've gotten off to good starts in all 4 games, and we got to do that again this week. Get off to a good start. Try to take away the things that Plymouth is really good at on offense. They got a lot of RPO stuff, and that's going to present some problems. And just that we're disciplined. When we're disciplined, when we're taking care of the football, when we're taking care of our assignment, we've been pretty good so far. When we kind of lose that stuff is when we've struggled.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you about the feeder program, the MFL, freshman and JV teams. So the program seems to be in solid shape, and we have pretty decent numbers right now. That's got to be good, and a credit to you, the coaches, and the volunteers who help out those programs.
Yeah, John Cooper's done a really good job with building the MFL tackle league. It's only 5th and 6th grade, and we're up over 80 kids playing that. So that's an average of 40 kids per grade level, and if we can get to that number at the high school, then we're looking at 160 kids in our program. So that's what we're trying to build. And then, like you said, our freshmen, we're in the mid-30s right now, and trying to build that as well, and making sure that we build a solid foundation for them for the next 3 years.
But the middle school program is very important, and you've always had some nice coaches who do some of the things that you do here.
Yeah, our 8th grade staff has been together the entire 6 years that I've been the head coach. Darren Hess, Chris Shavanik, and JJ Solfranc do a fantastic job with those 8th graders, and it's always incredible when they get to us. They always know a little bit more than they knew the previous year, and that's a tribute to those guys and the hard work that they put in. And the 7th grade staff is kind of just interchanged a lot over the course of the 6 years, but we got guys that care about kids, that are teachers in our corporation, and I think that's really important so that they can be in the building with them and keeping an eye on them as well. But we're working at it.
Yeah. Yeah, most important date this week, though, was little Lucy's birthday. Your daughter turned 4. That had to have been a nice family moment, just to take a breath and realize what's important.
It really was, and I tried to turn that into a message to our kids last night after practice, and with the way social media is now, you get alerts, and so I got pictures of the day that she was born and getting to hold her, and then it makes you kind of emotional because you don't get time back. That's the one thing in this life that we don't get. We can't get our time back, and so the message to our players was, don't waste the time that you have, because you can't get it back. You're going to get to be a high school football player for a little bit of time, and when it's over, you don't get to have it back. And so I think that's important that we all remember that just day to day in our life. But the message to these guys is to enjoy the opportunities that they have now.
Well, we appreciate you keeping it into perspective, and life after football is going to be a big deal, and you do a great job doing that.
Yeah, thanks you.
All right, big game Friday night, Mishawaka at Plymouth. You can hear it on 96.1 FM. Mishawaka trying to go 4-1.